Okay, good morning, everyone. Let's take our seats. It's great to see you all. Thanks for being here on time in the morning, and so we can start at 9 a.m. Welcome. This is the second New Thinking Industrial Policy Conference. We had a very successful one last year. My name is Verhoogen. I'm a faculty member here at Columbia in CDEP and in economics, and one of the organizers. Let me first, before I forget, otherwise I'll forget, I want to acknowledge a bunch of people, and then we'll say a little bit about the conference, and then pass over to Joe for some words of welcome. So the academic committee is, I'm going to have to put on my glasses. The academic committee is Bilge Erten. You can maybe raise your hand as you're there. There's Bilge. Martin Guzman. Yeah. Rekka Juhas couldn't make it. Niels Kupsok. Where's Niels? Okay. Nathan Lane should be arriving soon. Felipe Lobel. Where's Felipe? Juan Montesino couldn't make it. Andrew Schrank in the back. Joe Stiglitz here. Myself and Josh Whitford. Where's Josh? Is over there. Okay, thanks very much. The sponsors are we have the Center for Political Economy here at Columbia, and in particular there's the Firms and Industrial Policy Lab, that IDEA Lab that Josh and I are co-organizing, the Initiative for Policy Dialogue, obviously led by Joe Stiglitz, the Center for Development Economics and Policy, it's a center at CDEP on development economics, and the Institute of Global Politics at CDEP are all co-authors. Before I forget, let me also acknowledge the great organizers of the conference. So one is Savannah Lucas. Savannah, where are you? Okay, thanks, Savannah. Olena Jennings is out, still checking name tags. Gabriella Plump is here, is going to be our timekeeper, apparently a very tough timekeeper. Everyone needs to do everything that she says. Olga David is out there checking name tags as well. Okay, let me say a word or two about the motivation of the conference. It's not news that industrial policy is back in a big way. It's not going away, despite whatever happens in the next few days in the United States political system. But part of the motivation for having a conference like this is that we felt that the knowledge base for doing industrial policy still remains underdeveloped, in part because, as Danny Roderick and others have pointed out, for a long time, the idea of industrial policy was kind of in the wilderness. It was hard to get traction around these issues. Now that on a political terms, industrial policy is back, we feel that there's still work to be done about strengthening that knowledge base in order to guide smart industrial policy. Joe is going to Joe has made important also theoretical contributions, and it's more, I think, in part, obviously, it's fleshing out the sort of the empirical basis for the design of industrial policy. Okay, what works and what doesn't, but also questions about the optimal design of policy are actually very important. We had a huge number of submissions, 221, a big increase even over last year. Happily, many people agree with us that it seems to be an important topic. We, as was the case last year, we're trying to be interdisciplinary. We're trying to get economists and sociologists and political scientists and lawyers and engineers to talk to each other. Please make an effort to do that. The organization of the conference reflects that, and please make an effort, in the hallways and in the lobby to have such conversations. It's my job to say a little bit about the rules, the guidelines. We're going to try and play by economics rules, or maybe like nice economics rules, in the sense that people can raise their hand during talks. And it will be the job of the moderators, and we're going to empower the moderators and the speakers to defer questions if they feel that it's interrupting. But we're going to try and have this sort of seminar style interaction. Please, I guess part of that for the economists in the room, who are maybe sometimes too eager to interrupt, think about whether your question is going to be answered shortly, and if it is, maybe hold off for a bit, because we're on a very tight time schedule. Okay, let me pass it over to Joe.
Okay, well, let me just say a word of welcome, and for me, the fact that industrial policy is back is sort of like a victory lap, because for some of us, we sort of kept doing it when we were told we weren't supposed to. And I'm sure all of you know the quip of one of my colleagues at Stanford, when I taught there, who became the first George Bush's chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors. He said it doesn't make any difference whether we produce potato chips or computer chips. And that was a summary of why we shouldn't get into industrial policies. There are the arguments that the government doesn't pick winners, and a whole litany of arguments, which I personally had to deal with, both when I was in the council, chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors, but even more strongly when I was chief economist of the World Bank. And we kept a valiant war going on, a subterranean war about keeping industrial policy alive in the developing countries, even if we failed within the advanced countries. And it was a constant battle. It went on after I left. Justin Lin became the chairman of chief economist of the World Bank after Nick Stern, and he put it at the center. But it was isolated to a particular extreme, and everybody expected Justin Lin to push it because he was from China, and that's what they do there. So, and China had been successful, but it was very difficult for the rest of the world to recognize that China had been successful through industrial policies. So, as Eric said, industrial policy is back, but we don't have the knowledge base really to fully understand when do we do it and how do we do it. And an important question, an advertisement for all of you to stay until the very end. Martin and I are going to be talking about some of the global implications that the United States can do industrial policy with more money than other countries. We had a structure that was designed to create a level playing field. Didn't work perfectly, but that was the rhetoric. And now we've given up the rhetoric of a level playing field. No one can have a $1.5 trillion program for industrial policy like the United States. And that means we have to really think the global context, and the effectiveness of industrial policy can't be seen in isolation. We live in a competitive world, and one of the two parties actually focuses on industrial policy in the context of competitiveness, and that means we have to take into account how they might respond. So this is all an advertisement to try to keep you until the very end when Martin and I are going to be talking about these issues, but also to say there are actually a very rich set of issues that are raised, all the way from project selection, project monitoring, termination of projects, and what I find as we looked through those large number of applications, I think we were very impressed with how fast the economics profession has responded to this new challenge, and responded trying to assess how we're doing and how we might do better in the areas that we've already entered. So I just have to congratulate you on what has been done and the efforts that have been put in so quickly to understand a new policy agenda. And I believe particularly if we have a reasoned government going forward, and I'm optimistic that we will, that these ideas will have an influence in the shaping of industrial policies going forward.
Okay. Great. All right. So let's have Josh Whiffer come up and introduce our first keynote speaker, Alondra Nelson.